Hello, I'm Tony Pearson-Young and welcome to the Dulux Academy podcast. As we've discussed in the last few episodes, it's been a very strange 6 months for everyone, and we've all had to adapt. This week, we're going to be discussing the facts that homeowners seem to be doing it all for themselves. With a buoyant home improvement market, is there still a need for a professional decorator? We'll look at the facts of the figures from 2020 and what does it mean for the future place of the professional decorator in 2021 and beyond. Today, I'm going to be joined by Fiona Hall, who's the head of Insights at AkzoNobel, and also by Ross Burlington, who is the owner of Our Pro Decorators. Fiona, first, could you explain what actually Insights is and what it means to a business like Dulux?
Yes, hi Tony. So Insights is basically understanding what the people that use the paint think and feel. So how we do that is we do an awful lot of interviews, both mass and individual, with professionals, with homeowners and with other people in the industry. And we use this information to make sure that AkzoNobel is as on trend and up to date with their products and offering as we can be.
So it sounds like a lot of number crunching to find out that we're producing what we need to produce for the customers out there.
Oh, there's been nothing like it this year. 2020, we could not have predicted. So we've been having to, survey so solidly to find out what's going on.
And Ross, where in the world are you and what type of business do you do?
So, hi Tony. Basically, I own a business down in the Bournemouth area in the south coast, and it's painting and decorating business, which is a Dulux Select painter and decorator.
Excellent, thank you. Welcome along. I don't know about you guys, but I have definitely seen a lot of photos on social media of some DIY going on during lockdown, and I've certainly seen a few bodge jobs as well. So we wanted to take some time today to talk about this decorating boom and what it means for the professionals in the coming months. Fiona, with your finger on the pulse with all these analytics, what have you noticed with the rise in people of doing it for themselves?
Well, as you said, not surprisingly, we've seen a lot of people doing DIY and painting especially. So there's been about 38% more shoppers than we would normally see this time of year going through the stores. And there's three different reasons why they've been painting. There's been the need to make more of a space at home, work from home space. There's been the fact that they've had more time to be able to take on jobs that they wanted to. And there's also been the need for new hobbies.
And Ross, what are the types of things that you've seen on social media? Have you also noticed there's been a lot more DIY being posted?
Yeah, I mean, with the DIY, the main thing was obviously because of the nice weather was just fences. Everyone was doing fences. So in words of internal work, I haven't seen as much. So down where I live, there's been loads and loads of fences been painted. But the internal work is still, I'm still getting quite a lot of inquiries, going into the winter because now they've been sitting in their home and they've been going, oh, actually, I think we might have a painter and decorator in. And not necessarily that they want a really good job. So the rise, in words of the outside, I was a bit worried when we were in lockdown because, going out on a bike ride on a daily basis, seeing loads of people painting. And I was thinking, that's going to be a nightmare for all the decorators, especially bungalows, lower work. But as soon as we've sort of gradually come out of the lockdown, I've seen a lot of painters started to go back onto external work. Fences have all been done by the homeowner, but the internal work is slowly now creeping in. Now we're going into the winter side. So it was a bit worrying to start with, but not as much at the moment because people want that quality and nice finish.
And we've definitely seen in the results coming through of those that have done DIY themselves, there's about 5% who've said that they've done a botched job on their painting and decorating and need a professional to come and fix it. So on top of people that want professionals to come in, and people actually are open to using professionals, there's going to be needing to fix some of their more enthusiastic painting jobs over the summer.
Yeah. Tony, I was going to just add to that. I've had a lot of people phone me and say, oh, I'm just going to start painting, but I've done a wall and then actually I don't want to do it. They don't realise how of a trade a painter and decorator is. They may think it's a very easy job, but they don't realise the knowledge and the products and to get that nice finish.
So have you noticed then that you've been contacted by homeowners with regards to putting jobs right, or even finishing jobs even?
Yeah, I've had a few who want us to come in and finish their job, what they've started. So yeah, I've had a few of those. I've had ones who have sort of wanted advice on what to do, but then they've actually gone, actually, I don't want to do it. I'd rather get the professional painter and decorator in. Like I said, the main thing was the external outside work, was the fences and things like that, which I think most people did over the summer. I think that was the main thing. But internally now, people still want that nice finish, really.
Yeah, I see Fiona nodding her head in agreement with fences there. So have we seen a big spike in garden products?
We have. We've seen a lot of people doing jobs outside. Quite a few people doing jobs on the inside of the house as well, but not big. And what we tend to see is that painting can be quite addictive. So if people do one room, they're going to want to do other bits. And possibly that's where the professionals come in as well. You realise it's a bit harder than you thought it was.
With that kind of shift with homeowners' attitude towards painting, what other impact has it had within the trade, do you think?
So we surveyed the trade in April to ask what was going on with people, and it looked like a disaster at the time. Painters and decorators saying that 9 out of 10 jobs were cancelled. They were worried about distancing, materials, and obviously the financial impact of not knowing when you're going to be working again. So people were saying at the time that they were thinking about leaving the industry, mental health concerns, 40% of people saying they had those. And it just looked very worrying. But what we've seen, we've just run another survey amongst painters and decorators, and the industry has massively picked up. Domestic work is massively up. There's a feeling of optimism. People are turning away work. Half the professionals are thinking that the jobs are going to be increasing after lockdown. And, it really has turned around.
And what's your views on to back up those figures, Ross?
Yeah, I mean, for us, the way I work the business is the customer experience. As soon as they contacted you either by email or phone, if they start to get a great experience from day one, then they get the confidence. And then when you go there, you can explain how to work it. I mean, obviously there's some people are shielding and things like that. So you've got to be careful, and, you've got a process for working that. But I mean, it is going up. And I mean, we're probably booked until after Christmas now. And we're getting inquiries sort of every other day. So, and the paint seems to be flying off the shelves as well. So, I mean, there is the catchment of people who definitely want a lovely job, professional decorator in, but there's always going to be, I mean, there's always been, the DIYers who don't have anyone around their house and they have a go and they're happy with that. But there are those people who really want that really nice job. And, if you're working your business correct and doing it in a nice way, then you're going to have no problems, really.
Fiona, you say you use a lot of surveys to gather this insight of information. So are one of these kind of questions that you look for is, are people actually going to use a professional decorator as opposed to DIY?
Yeah, I mean, we wondered at the beginning of lockdown if people would be frightened of having professionals in their houses, but it seems not. And the positive thing here is the number of households painting has increased by 30-odd%, but we also see the same number of people wanting to use a painter and decorator. So actually the pool of potential customers for a decorator is growing. So I think that the opportunity is going to be there.
Excellent. And Ross, how do you feel with that, with your feet on the ground?
Yeah, I mean, same again for us. It's the customer experience. They need to feel really happy from, the word go, really, from the products we use to, walking through the front door, how we're going to operate and things like that. So the operational side, as long as they're happy, the businessy type of things coming in at the moment is, it's unbelievable. I mean, we're not cancelling jobs, but it's in fact, I think we're now getting busier than before lockdown.
Really?
And before the COVID. Yeah. So because there are people who are, and now they want to move, they want to now get their house ready for sale. So they want people to be able to walk in and go, well, there's nothing to do, or put more value on their property. And that's why they want the professionals in, because they know they're going to get that nice, finish, and it's gonna help them. And also the people who have been living in their houses and not really been going out, they've been sitting in the house going, wow, I think we should now, we've got some money for that. Let's get the house painted, or let's get certain areas sorted. So yeah, there is the demand there for the professional painter.
If only to put those bodge jobs correct.
Yeah, that's right.
When you've been invited along by a homeowner to come and have a look at a project that they've started, you mentioned earlier that you give them a bit of confidence because you talk about your processes and the products that you use. So is it a hard conversation to sell a professional service to a DIYer?
Not really, because same again, it's the customer experience and what they're going to get as a final finish with the painting. I mean, the products, some people don't realise how good some of the products are. So, I may go there and they haven't used necessarily Dulux products, but then I say, look, have a look at this, try that. And then they would, once we've for example, let's say they've painted 2 rooms, which I've gone to have a look to correct. We've started in one room and then they've gone, wow, the ceiling looks like 1,000,000 times better than the room I originally painted. And I then explain, well, that's because you've got the process of really good product, really good painters and decorators, and the preparation's been done correctly. And then they're even happier. So then, of course, that's when they go, yeah, let's get that room done, and let's get that room. Oh, and my friends such and such, they've got something going on as well. Do you mind passing on your details to another customer? And then then it just snowballs from there, really.
Yeah, it's that overall customer experience, like you say, isn't it? It's not just the applying of paint, which, let's be honest, as all DIYers, that's what we used to do before we became professional decorators. But where we as a business sell retail paint and trade paint, how have we seen those kind of figures change over the last few months? And is it a constant change?
When lockdown started, we saw a lot more sales coming through the retail channels, especially as the trade channels were shut for that first while. But since they've opened, we've seen a boom in trade sales as well as retail, and both channels are very healthy at the moment.
Excellent. Has it fluctuated a lot more than normal? Is it, obviously paint sales are seasonal, but has our seasonal predictions gone completely out of the window? Completely
out of the window. So sales have been much higher than we thought. And even in August, interestingly, when Rishi Sunak's Eat Out to Help Out came in, we thought more people would be out doing other things and not painting. But the sales for paint and consumers just kept going. So people were still painting even when they were allowed out.
Oh, wow. So we've all been very busy with the DIY and the trade sector as well. Fiona, within these surveys, yes, it's about the sales figures and what we predict what paint will be being used in the future, but it's not just about selling paint, is it? What other things do we ask in these surveys?
We also look every year at the number of painters and decorators that are out there, and also the number of people of other trades who also will do some painting within their jobs. And we've seen a drop-off this year of people who are painters and decorators. Now, this is concerning because the number of households who want to have paint done for them is on the increase. We also spoke about Brexit, which is the other thing we've got to think about coming up. And there are a number of painters and decorators who are not born in the UK who are suggesting that when Brexit goes through, they might possibly go back to their home country. This means that there'll be a further drain on the number of skilled professionals out there. So this is something as an industry we really have to think is how do we make sure we've got enough skilled professionals to do the jobs?
Yeah. So, that's a dilemma, isn't it? If we have more of a demand for a professional decorator, but we have less labour to cater to that demand, that's another problem in itself.
That's going to be a big problem in 21, I think. We need to actually, as an industry, think about how do we, increase that. And I'm sure Ross has seen this firsthand with the number of jobs he's been asked to do.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen with the jobs we are doing that, there's water leaks we're going to. There's the same again inside, the outside, externally. And to be honest, it's growing. It's getting more and more demand. And of course, the problem is people are saying, can you start next week? Can you be there in 2 weeks? And we're like, we're already on a big job at the moment, but you just can't squeeze everyone in. So you need to get, there needs to be more painters and decorators out there who do a great job, and get into the trade.
I suppose you need to have really good ones as well, Ross, because actually if you get some of these cowboys kind of coming around and doing a botch job, it doesn't do anything good for the whole reputation of the industry, does it?
No, I mean, this is why, I mean, obviously, our pro decorators is Dulux Select Decorators. And, somebody's actually come out, spoken to the customers. And this is why the scheme's so good, because they know what quality they're going to get. My actual business process is as soon as the customer contacts us, they get a link and they fill out some details, and they already know that they're going to have a nice experience with us, because it's all about the contact, the communication, and then we go have a look at the job. We then give them the price, then we do the list of works, then we do the contract, and then even after we've finished, for my business, everybody gets either some bottle of wine, flowers, some sort of nice gift from us, just so they have a nice experience, and everyone, and that's why we always get great feedback as well, because at the end of the day they go, never had flowers off a decorator or bottle of wine or something nice. It's just a little touch. Little touch is what we do, which is why, cleaning up your tools at the end of the day, putting them in a neat pile and making sure things are protected and doing nice things. They know as soon as you walk through that door, they're going to have a great experience. Even when they see your van and, you open the door and all your tools are neatly in a line, it's to another level of decorating rather than someone just rocking up. Paint's all over the place. You look like you've just had a swim in the paint. It's, they know what sort of work they're going to be receiving, I would say.
Yeah, it sounds like first and foremost, you want to provide excellent customer service and a great customer experience.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, you're only as good as your last job. And every property we go into, we treat it as if we're working in my house. And, my house is pristine. The joke with all the guys with me is he's OCD. But at the end of the day, when we go to, people's properties, that's the first thing. Even after a couple of days, they're like, oh, my God, he's OCD. He must be a perfectionist, which is what they like, because they prefer to have a perfectionist rather than the other way. So, same again, I know there are people who've had bad experiences, but when they nail it with getting the correct sort of decorator in, same again, the Dulux Select Decorator, the process is a really smooth operation.
Yeah, and I suppose with that, you're going to create a demand because of that great customer service. So how do you ensure that you can manage that demand with an extra labour force? If there's going to be less decorators in the country, how are you going to be able to get that quality labour force?
It's the same as most things. People will wait for that profession to be done. They'd rather have it done once, a good job, and rather than having it done quickly. And I think you will find most people would wait unless it's an absolute urgent one. But then you might have to just move some things around within your business. But you will find that most people will wait for a good job.
Okay. So, and how do you go, if you've got an unusual job, how do you offer a service that you can provide within that? Do you kind of train yourself and train your guys to be able to expand your product knowledge and skill set?
Yeah, I mean, if we went to a job, same again, great thing about the Dulux Academy, and also to do with the help telephone number, you can phone them up and say, look, we've gone to a project, we've seen something a little bit more unusual than normal. And they can give you some great customer advice and product advice, and also speaking with other decorators, because sometimes that's another great thing, which we all do. We could go to a project and say, oh, I haven't seen that before. Any recommendations? And then we all chat, and then the forums online, which we're all on as well. So that also helps.
So it's about having that network of decorators around you where you can share skills and product knowledge and so boost your own professionalism.
Yeah. I mean, it's better you're always learning all the time. Products change, jobs, no jobs all the way. Well, it's not the same. So every job you go to is always different. So it's not exactly the same as what you were doing before, but yeah.
Ross, with the lockdown, we've all had to look at new ways of working and different ways to conduct our business. So with the stores temporarily closing, have you seen a way of using technology to support your business in a new way?
Yeah, I mean, we use the online system where you can just literally click on the paint you want, the quantity, pay for it, and then it's just like click and collect, basically.
Excellent. And have you used any other different aspects to support your business? Have you used social media in any way?
Yeah, I mean, over the lockdown, we used the Dulux Academy training, which was really good, because obviously we don't necessarily all get much time to take out the business to go and have drive up to you direct. So it's really good to go online, see the people who do the training, like the colour of ice and the paints and different products. And in fact, all the time you learn new skills, but it was very good, especially over lockdown. And I would highly recommend it to anyone to go to the Dulux Academy and try the training, because there are things even I picked up and I went, oh, actually, that's another way of doing it. That, some people are stuck in their ways and say, no, that's how I like to paint. But it's always good, when you try something different, definitely.
Absolutely. I think we never know enough, do we? We never stop learning. And it's even seasoned pros like yourself. There's always a new skill or a new technique or a new kind of product to learn about that you don't actually want to learn about on the job, but you want a little bit of background knowledge about it.
Yeah, I mean, products are changing all the time. I think Dulux have just brought out another new paint, which is scuff-resistant paint, which is the Dulux, which is brand new. I haven't actually used it yet, but same again, as soon as we, try it, it could be another paint. We go, oh, actually, now we're going to use that paint instead of, diamond matte, for example. It all depended on what the customer wants. So, yeah.
Fiona, after looking at all the stats about what's happened during lockdown, what do you think the homeowners are actually going to want moving forward and into the future?
So I think it's really, really positive to see that even though there's been some changes since lockdown has opened up a bit more, people's passion for painting and decorating doesn't show any sign of abating, and they're still really, really keen to do things. So I think these new people that have come into the painting and decorating industry, these new underconfident homeowners, they're going to be doing more work next year. They'll be needing more help with their projects. There's going to be definitely a focus on rezoning homes to make sure that they're fit for working at home. There's record numbers of houses being sold at the moment. And we know that houses, when they're sold, result in painting as the first thing. One of the big watch outs, I think, is going to be hygiene and cleanliness, because people are more obsessed than ever with having things clean. And there's an opportunity to suggest that having a freshly painted house is something that helps with hygiene. So it'll be about using that, but also about the methods of painters and professionals coming into the house, making sure that everything is scrupulous as far as the tidiness and the cleanliness of applying.
Yeah, and I suppose this is where the professional decorator comes in with his knowledge of using the right products and the right surfaces that can withstand all this extra cleaning.
Yeah, exactly.
With all the increased sales of retail products, I think some of the professionals may have been worried that there wasn't going to be more work for them in the future. But Ross, it's clearly obvious that there is a lot of work out there. What can you see in your area where the professional trade is still buoyant?
The professional trade, basically, I mean, I've got a friend who is an estate agent. He's selling more houses than before COVID started. And the first thing they're saying is, oh, yeah, we want a decorator to come in, freshen up the whole house. They want to start fresh, even before they move in. So they want painters in, and then they want brand new carpets. And then it's like coming into a brand new home. People who have been sitting at home for that long time, during lockdown, have all been sort of picketing, going, oh, actually, I think now let's get our house freshly, decorated, because we've all been cooped up at home, and we want it all nice and clean and tidy, and let's start fresh again. So the work and the demand is, coming into play, especially, even coming into winter. Originally, I thought, oh my God, it's not going to be very busy, but it is. And same again, it's the experience, and there's so many people who just want that lovely. They're in their homes every day. They want to be surrounded by, niceness and beautiful paint and beautiful feelings, and that, that's where they're living. So that's what they're after. I've
got to say that in my house, in my bedroom, there's a wall that I painted myself, and the amount of time I've spent looking and being quite offended at the bad job I've done, it does. The more time you spend, the more offensive it is, to be honest.
Well, that's what happens. But sometimes you can look at it. When the professional comes over, he won't criticise it. Well, he shouldn't do really, but he should just help with the original work, the preparation.
And you know what's interesting is that most people are quite happy to have a professional come into their house. You know, it's about a third who are a little bit worried, but on the whole, I think as long as the appropriate measures are taken, people are quite happy now to start welcoming people back into the house to do those jobs and make it a nicer environment to live in.
Yeah, so I mean, for example, for us, we've changed our operation only a tiny little bit for the COVID. I mean, I've actually made a call button where this mobile button can be on the customer, and the button they can push, and then the actual noise alerts us when they're coming into the property, or if we've got a delivery, or we can also section off parts of the rooms where we put sheeting. And it's like a field, force field basically for, if they're worried. It's an amazing, there is a way of operationally, if you're very switched on to what you're doing as a job, and if there is somebody really worried, there is a way to do things. Now, even if you're using the back door, they're using the front door, and it's just simple little things, and they're pretty cool with it. So I wouldn't worry about it too much.
Brilliant. Thanks for that. It's really quite interesting, the differences that we have looking about what COVID effect it has had on us, but how we also need to move forward and look for the future. And so on to our regular spot, the tools of the trade. So before we finish, I'm going to ask you, Ross, what is that one bit of kit that you can't do without as part of your daily life? As long as it's not an electric sander, it could be anything from a tool, it could be a bit of tech. And those that are seeing this on Zoom, go on, Ross, tell them more what it is.
It's the 10-in-1 painting tool. It's an amazing tool. We use it for everything, scraping, caulking. It does loads of different things. This is like our ultimate tool. In fact, I think I've got about 10 of these. Just in the van and when we're on jobs, because they're just great, and I always want to make sure I've got one. So that's the tool you need, multi-tool, 10-in-1.
Yeah, they are pretty handy. I do own one myself, to be honest. They're a good bit of kit, and they just clip on your belt, so it's never too far away. Brilliant.
Yeah.
And Fiona, I don't think you'll ever need a 10-in-1 multi-tool.
No. This is my perfect tool, is a mobile phone, so I can call a Dulux Select decorator, because I'm rubbish at painting. So that's my tool.
Brilliant. And for listening to podcasts too as well.
Absolutely. Multifunctional.
That's great. Thank you very much, Fiona. Thank you, Ross. Reflection from today's podcast, I think, has been as much as, yes, DIYers have been doing it for themselves, but ultimately, I don't think it's been at the expense of the professional decorator. I think there's still an awful lot of work out there. I think the majority of decorators we speak to, they're busy. And they're very busy. So if anything, I think there could actually be more work for the domestic decorator, because as Ross said, there's actually a few bodge jobs to put right, and the homeowner doesn't have the time or the inclination or even the skills to rectify it. And then that's when they're calling in the professional decorator. I'll be back in 2 weeks' time when our next podcast will be all about what the corporate business, the contractor and the small business can all do to support each other. Take care and stay safe.